So you loved it. You got it twice,
That's
or
right.
we forced you to watch it twice, I guess.
It's such a good book. I bought 2 copies.
So
Hey, everybody.
I can read it again.
Sorry about that. We'll beat the crap out of JJ later on. This time, though, the only difference between today and all the other days is we'll actually have a legitimate reason to do it.
We've got a reason to beat JJ up this time.
We are looking for justification, but it's not a requirement. All right, let's go ahead and jump into PDQ and A. You've got your questions. Go ahead and fire them. We got Colby Bama. I've been thinking it was Boma. Colby Bama on, ladies and gentlemen, Colby Bama on the phone a friend. He knows more about this product than we do. So let's go for it.
Dear Shane, Lex, and Colby Bama, do you do any testing of the patches before they are made available in PDQ Deploy? Thanks, Peter G.
The hell's testing?
We test live. You know what? I think, Colby, what do you guys do for testing?
Yes, we do test.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, we do test. As one who built most of the packages for years, or all the packages for years, yes, there's quite a few testing. Now we have an entire team that does it, actually several teams. You want to hurry and just talk about it, Colby, real quick?
Yeah, there are actually multiple stages of testing. So when an update first comes in, the packaging team looks over it, looks for any changes and stuff like that, and does the first major round of testing. And then after that, it'll get a QA pass by a different person. And then as the third stage, the publisher also checks over it a little bit before publishing it live.
Okay. Yes, we used to. I mean, back when it was me that was pulling the trigger. I did a lot of tests. I just had different targets. But here's one thing to keep in mind, Peter. We don't test for all the functionality of an application. That is beyond the scope of it. We test to make sure that it's the same application that is coming down from the vendor. So we verify the signatures. We verify that it installs silently and that you can open it up and do basic functionality. But we don't go through and test the actual application. That's not within the scope. So anyway, good question.
Dear Shane and Lex, when using DFS, is there any way to have auto-downloads download but not deploy for one day, so the download has time to replicate out to all my DFS shares? Thanks, Daniel. This is my driving face, S.
I was going to say, natively no, but I think Colby had come up with kind of a way to get what you're looking for with, is it a pre-step?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I haven't had time to test this yet, but it's sort of an idea, and I'll get this posted to the bonus content. But essentially, you have a flag file, a small file that you know is on all of your DFS servers, has already replicated, and then you give it the path of the portion of the repository that you want to check. It's like if it's Adobe Reader, then you look for like Adobe Reader DC continuous, and then you'll check each file in there, because there's not really any way to like correlate the current version in this pre-step, so you just kind of have to check and make sure everything is replicated. Mm-hmm. But basically you go through one by one and check which server each of those files is coming from, and make sure it's coming from the same server as the flag file. And then if it's not, just like pause for a while.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have a native. We don't have native APIs to communicate with DFS. So the replication to all the different namespaces is still up to DFS. So I kind of like the way you were thinking there, Colby. Of thinking kind of outside the box and just doing some testing for
put a
certain
pre-step
files.
in there to verify.
Yeah, because if you're using DFS and you just say go out to this UNC path, which happens to be the DFS namespace, it's going to be respective to each of your DFS servers. If that file is not there, if we were to check that here, since we don't communicate directly with DFS, it would just be, is the namespace that the console is using, does it have it? But it may not be replicated out to your other sites. Yeah.
So absolutely.
So there's some ways around it. You can also get somewhat creative with your schedules. If you don't have really aggressive schedules, then once something is approved and the schedule's not going to kick off for a day or two, that should take care of the problem, depending on how slow your DFS replication is.
Dearest Shane and Lex, any way to highlight new software packages or versions when they've been released to the library? Sincerely, the fabulously talented Kate L.
Well, there's a couple of ways. I mean, natively, if you go look at our thing here, you've got the in the status bar 58 updated packages. We also post to our forums, as well as there's a subreddit just for the new packages, and you can get notifications based off of that. But every time we publish a package, it's also put out there on our forums. We don't have a way of saying only show me these packages right now. We may do that in the future, but it's not on the roadmap right now. But honestly, the best way is just come over here to, if you're in the product, just look at that status bar, click it, and then you'll see those packages. The bottom panel is or the bottom pane here, the packages that have been approved, and then this top one are auto download
that are waiting for
approval.
Dear Shane and Lex, are the collection variables in PDQ Inventory updated as soon as new versions are released? New auto deployments are kicking off before the approval time expires to install the old version again. Thanks, Glenn. Just getting to know my fellow passengers. H.
Yeah, how's it going, buddy? I wouldn't say as soon as the new versions are released. If you're talking about by the vendor, when the packages are put up there, part of the process is to say, yeah, here's the new version.
If you're deploying the old package you need to check in your schedule for that stop deploying once targets succeed, because that's probably not checked, and so everybody moves from like latest to old because the version's changed, so it makes the attempt before the download.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and open up this Google Chrome. We've gone to all schedules, open up Google Chrome Enterprise. And let's say that you have this auto download set to 7 days. So, yes, that new version is going to be updated in the collection library and the variable before this is approved by your default settings. But if you just come over to the options of your schedule and hit stop deploying the targets once they succeed,
that should take care of that issue happening.
Yeah.
So unless you've cleared out your target history for that, schedule, that will take care of it.
That's definitely what we'd recommend.
Absolutely.
No, we don't synchronize the latest version with whatever approvals you have, because you can have multiple approvals. There are some customers that actually will just use their own collections. They build their own collections because they want to stay on a certain version even for months instead of going to new ones, and then they will just create their own variables, and then their schedules are based off of those collections. So you can also do that.
Hey, Shane and Lex, love your show. Is there a way to stack multiple packages into one schedule so you only have one schedule that will update the various software Windows updates? Thanks, Jeremy O.
Yes. Yeah, when you create a schedule, so we'll just grab 7-zip here, and we'll just do a new schedule. So right now we're just adding the 7-zip, right? So we'll add targets, whatever. Just make this fast here. Sorry.
So
no, it's not going to be that fast.
We're going to make it fast.
Yeah. So we'll just do. It's 7-zip, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about the target. So add your target, add your triggers, and then when you go to packages, you can attach new packages. Just click on Attach Package. Now we want to do it Audacity. We want to do Java, right? Say OK. Now it will install in this order. So you can move this up. If I want Java installed first in this schedule, I'll just click that arrow, highlight it, click the arrow. The answer is yes. You can add whatever you want here. Just keep in mind, when you're talking about multiple targets, multiple packages, then you want to have your targets be a little bit more general. So if we were to say go to 7-zip old or Chrome old, but we're also installing Java, it's going to only be basing that off of the target. You still have your targets for a particular schedule. They're not for each package in the schedule, different targets for each package. So
and
kind of have to be a little bit more general.
The other thing about that, as soon as something bumps into old, not only is it going to try and get 7-zip, say 7-zip, the new version of 7-zip, it's going to then again try and install Java and Audacity. So there's a possibility you might be double tapping some of these machines.
Yep, and but the answer to your question is yes. You can have multiple packages, and then if you want to detach a package, obviously you highlight the package you want to detach and push that. So there you go.
Dear Shane and Lex, can I make a deployment package that will auto-add the newest auto-deployment package instead of retaining a bunch of the older packages? Thanks, Paul Y.
I'm reading that again. So you're not talking about using...
Is this like a nested package or something?
It sounds like you've built your own package. You're not talking about using one from the package library. Is that how you're reading that, Colby?
I talked to him a little bit in the chat, and it sounds like what he wants to do is, let's say with the Windows update packages, when the new version comes out, so like 1809, he wants that to automatically be added to like a package that already has like nested packages of like all the Windows updates.
Oh, okay.
And so no, I don't think you can do that.
Yeah. I'd love to be able to read your mind, man, but that's,
not. I can say no.
Yeah,
definitively, no, you can't do that. Now, once again, that's not a native feature, but as our good friend Chris will say, there's a lot you can do with PowerShell.
That is true.
If you want, we do have our CLI. You might be able to. You might be able to mess around with it in PowerShell, depending on how deep you want to script it. But
I'm just waiting for him to run in here, yell PowerShell corgis like the Kool-Aid man.
He just
PowerShell
burst through the green screen. All right.
Yeah. I just that kind of scares me because I can see a lot of things going south real quick.
Yeah, there comes a point where there can be, I think, too much automation.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sorry. The answer to that one's no. It's very easy to add and remove packages from schedules. It's very easy to add and remove packages from a nested package, etc. But when you're not talking about the package library and auto downloads, it's something you're going to have to kind of intervene.
Yep.
Dear Shane and Lex, is there a way to report on USB device usage in inventory? Thanks in advance, Pablo G.
Hey, Pablo. It really depends on what you mean by the word usage. If certain USB devices, particularly like if it's a flash drive, you can, at the time of a scan, we can see that if there's a flash, we can see if there's storage that's mounted during the scan, and it can be reported as such. But depends on what you mean by usage. Like, did somebody copy a file from it? Is it currently being used in some fashion? Like it's got an application that's being run? No. But if by usage you mean it's connected, then yes.
Time of runtime, yeah.
Next question.
Dear Shane and Lex, does PDQ integrate with any other software through an API? Thanks in advance, Brian G.
I guess. Hi, Brian. If you're talking about other programs that work with ours, some programs might be able to utilize our CLI,
do some calls,
but it's not an API. Yeah. Now we integrate with some applications. Spiceworks is an example. It's mostly in deploy. When you're choosing your targets, you can choose a Spiceworks group. We'll do some native things like with deep freeze but we're not using the deep freeze API as much as we're just looking in WMI.
Yeah.
So for the most part, I'm going to say no, but that doesn't mean that there's not integration available through the CLI.
Dear Shane and Lex, my googlefu has failed me so far. I'm looking for a way to script or automate removing users from local admin group. I realize GP can do it, but there are legitimate exceptions for dev users. I can do it with net local group or PowerShell, but it requires that I know the user. I'd like to create a tool in PDQ to be able to do this, but have thus far been unsuccessful. Thanks, Brian W.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to need to script it no matter what, I think. The question you're going to have to ask yourself is whitelist or blacklist.
Yeah.
And because you're talking about individual users, what I would recommend, if possible, is to utilize groups.
Yeah.
because then you'll know the name of a group, and it's inconsequential what users are in that group. Well, it's not inconsequential to security, but as far as your scripting, you don't have to know every single user. You can just say, oh, these are devs that are in this group, and this group is allowed in the local admin group. But
So I guess
you're gonna need to script it. It just kind of depends. You want to say nobody except for these. That's a lot easier, or is it just these are the list of people I want?
I was wondering if you were thinking more along the lines of this kind of thing. It's like I want to find the unapproved people. That we can help you with that report. I mean, we've built this guy, but as for everything else, you're gonna.
Well, yeah, there's a reporting of it, but he's also talking about. If you want to pop that back up, I think he was talking about having a PDQ Deploy package that actually goes out there.
Oh, and does that? Yeah.
And enforces that. Is that how you read that, Colby?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, same here.
All right. Well,
So yeah, obviously you can report.
There's ways to see what's out
You can
there,
report on it easily
but,
enough, and it's a lot safer, obviously, by saying, hey, I know that in this case, Alex or Brig are allowed, so exclude those. I don't want to know if they're in there. But once you're talking about actually,
doing something about it.
Yeah.
That's a little different.
Dear Shane and Lex, thanks for just being you. Is there any way to do a bulk update like the custom fields import wizard of the computer info fields, i.e. serial numbers, for systems in inventory that have scanning disabled? Thanks, Sean, the Wedding Crasher, S.
Oh yeah, it's a wedding photo. At first I was like, that seems to be a stretch on the, would it go really random there, Kelly. Do you want to add anything to this one, Colby, to this question?
So you want to update a field that we normally... okay.
A bulk update. A bulk update computers that have scanning disabled. I mean, the answer is yes, because you don't have to be able to edit or add custom info. The computer doesn't have to have scanning enabled. But do you want to address anything on there?
The only thing I can think of is editing the database directly through PowerShell and whatnot. I don't think any of our commands will do this. I can't think of any commands to...
I was going to say...
We've got the CSV import wizard, effectively.
Yeah, but that's only custom fields.
Yeah, that won't work.
That's what he was talking about, right?
No, he said...
Oh, I'm sorry.
How do I update information that isn't a custom field?
Oh.
Yeah, so that'd
I guess
you'd have to inject
I was
it.
thinking, dude, custom fields, yes, it doesn't mean... Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
That'd be a SQL insert into the database.
Yeah.
Or update.
Or an
And
update,
then
yes.
and then you really do want to have that computer have scanning disabled.
Because it'll get
you
rewritten.
can go in there and change the OS name field to Lex from Windows 10, but the next scan is just going to overwrite that. So you would. It's not anything that we would really recommend, but you would have to do some SQL in there.
Say if you're going to play that game, make sure you got a good backup of your database because you can corrupt those pretty easy. So
I would. The answer is yes. It's not native, but I would definitely say the requirement is that computers should not be scanned.
Dear Shane and Lex, what are your favorite lesser-known features of Deploy and Inventory? Thanks, Troy M.
Well, one of the reasons for me, I mean, for Deploy, I used to always say auto deploy because you kind of had to do a couple of extra steps to enable it, and then we changed that so it's a little bit more in your face for auto download. I would really hope that people would and are using auto downloads, but to break it down even further, in Deploy, it's the ability to have conditions based off of inventory collections. I think that's just fantastic. You've got so much control over that's really a catch-all condition, is saying only deploy this step or this package to computers that are or are not in this particular collection. Yeah. And then, of course, you have the power of the collection that...
All the logic behind that, yeah.
Yeah, we were thinking, boy, this conditions tab is going to get filled up really fast as we start adding native conditions. And then Adam just had that flash of brilliance of let's just add a collection one, and then that's kind of a catch-all. So that's for deploy. What about you?
My deploy, and this, I guess it's not a hidden feature or anything, but I just love the fact it's like when I go meet with customers to see how much maintenance they do that I can help them automate just by building a custom package.
Yeah.
That is just maintenance, reboots, scripts they run on a regular basis, those kind of things, and scheduling it and just getting it off their plates. And I mean, it's not lesser known or native to it, but there's so much you can do to just, not have to work at night.
Yeah, to even go further than that, it's that when people have that little click that this is not just to deploy software. This is uninstalling software. This is running scripts. It's just maintaining and being a sysadmin over your target systems. Even if you don't ever install applications, you have that power. By the way, I do love on the chat that Scott wrote what condition my condition is in. Great Big Lebowski reference.
Hey, Lebowski, that's right.
And the name of that band that sings that song is the first edition, and that is the lead singer was Kenny Rogers back when he was a hippie.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Is that a one-hit wonder? Or do they have other things?
First edition had 2 songs. That's their biggest song, but it's also their biggest song because of the Big Lebowski.
Gotcha.
But it was this was Kenny Rogers, and he didn't even write it. Kenny Rogers has written 1 song in his entire career. He said he always sang songs that other people wrote. But yeah, he was with the band First Edition.
Not to be confused with New Edition with Bobby Brown.
Yes. I don't think anybody.
There's no confusion
Anybody who knows
there.
anything about music would make that problem. My mom would make that. Yes, but my mom's catalog begins and ends with Simon and Garfunkel. So anyway,
Do you have an inventory?
oh, inventory is still the tools. Tools is just so unused. Yeah.
Mine is grouping, and then I just did this the other day.
Okay.
Pull a report, right? So we're going to go run. Let's do the application report, and so we'll look at all computers, right? And I still, it's amazing that this is a lot to chew on. So
Yeah.
you just go right click and group here. But what a lot of people didn't know is you can also group by versions, so you can do multiple groups.
You can do multiple groupings.
And then if I show group panel, you'll see.
You're going to go name and version. Yeah, grouping.
So the grouping in the
I think you
reporting.
meant to click this one right there.
Is that what I meant to click? Did I
Yeah.
click the wrong place?
Yep. So grouping for you. Okay, that's cool.
I just like the multiple levels of grouping.
For me, it's tools. I think that tools are something that's just so underutilized. But next question.
Dear Shane and Lex, is there an easy way to convert NuGet packages for use with PDQ Deploy? Sincerely, Mark S.
NuGet. I
guess
that was
I
part
go,
of a Milky Way.
Just go ahead and. I guess the word "easy" is so open to interpretation. Kobe, would you like to opine on NuGet?
I've never looked at NuGet packages,
Oh, okay.
so I don't know how they compare to like our packages, but I'm going to give this a solid maybe. There's definitely no built-in way. Like you can probably write a PowerShell script, but maybe.
Okay.
I'm still thinking about that chocolate,
Shut up.
that candy bar.
That's not even how you spell NuGet.
I know, but it's still that's
I'm
what
not talking
it
about
kicks
it.
off in my mind.
That spelling ability left your train station a long
Hey,
time ago.
Mark Twain and I. If you can't spell it 2 ways, I can't respect you.
Okay then. Dear Shane and Lex, if I want to run a tool from an inventory report, will it run on all of the PCs returned in the results or only the PCs I select? Thanks, Monica H.
If I want to run a tool from an inventory report, if you're opening a report, go ahead and run one of your reports.
Let's go back to applications.
I would say use your tools, Monica. And hello, Monica. I haven't talked to you for a little while. If you're going to run a report, or if you're going to run a tool, I would definitely recommend using a collection if you want to hit multiple computers. But here you'd have to actually select all of those computers, and go ahead and write this.
I'm gonna stand back.
And I haven't even tried this one, so
Haven't either.
An Alto, and then tools. So notice that there's some obviously that are grayed out. The ones that are grayed out are the ones that you have to use. The ones that are grayed out are the ones that will only apply to one target that's selected. You would have to do a multi-select. What I would recommend, honestly, if I think to get the functionality you want is to use a collection to run a tool. You're still limited by some tools could only run on one target, on one computer at a time. Because you don't want to just select all computers and say run event, open the event viewer and then have a million event viewers open up. So you're probably thinking more collections, but if you're going to use a report, you have to multi-select.
Hey, Shane and Lex, is there any way to force targets to simulate a heartbeat? The idea being to force systems to receive deployments that are tied to heartbeat schedules. Thanks, Sean.
So, Sean, you want us to be able to turn them off in inventory and then back on in inventory without them actually being on and off?
Is
that the simulate?
Are you talking about simulate or stimulate? Is there a way to force targets to simulate a heartbeat? I mean, yes, from to simulate means that to me it didn't actually go online or offline. You just want to kind of do a test. You can go and modify an inventory. I've done this before. Just change that Boolean value to a 0, and it shows that as offline.
Disable your NIC and run a scan. I would put everybody.
But if you're talking about you want to just say I want to initiate a heartbeat, you can initiate a heartbeat from on all your computers at once, or on a collection, or multi-select, and just right-click and go to heartbeat. Let's see, go to heartbeat right there. Control H. So that's a way to, I guess, stimulate. That's a way to actually push a heartbeat. If a computer is offline and then becomes online, and you have your heartbeat trigger, that will kick it off. So there you go.
All right, it's time for the PDQ Speed Round. Dear Shane and Lex, I have a scheduled package that runs against a dynamic collection when PDQ Inventory sees a machine that is missing specific software. That scheduled package will run for hours or days if ignored, but if I deploy it manually, it will run successfully in about 30 seconds. Can you help me locate any settings that I may have misconfigured? Thank you, Matt R.
It will run for days. So this schedule, it tells me he's got a schedule with one package in there. I mean, you can change the timeout feature per deployment or schedule, but this sounds like a bug to me. The default timeout is an hour. We modified that, override that 1 hour default on like Windows Update packages. I think we set that for 3 hours, but it's.
This one's kind of hard to guess. I would imagine if we had a little more info. Go ahead, Colby.
I was just going to say 4 hours on the Windows Update packages,
Okay.
but yeah, I agree that this sounds like a bug into contact support.
And one thing I want to say is sometimes the bug is actually fairly superficial, and it's a bug in the console where the deployment actually has stopped. It's just the console still says that it's running, and that's usually it's a pain. It's annoying, but that's usually where the bug is. But that's what it sounds like. I thought we were doing a speed round.
Speed round! When selecting the Running Deployments link in the bottom right of the Deploy console, is there a way to just see the deployments that are actually running instead of the entire All Deployments list? Thanks, William Z.
Yeah, this is actually I know something that we've discussed. It's not native right now, but we've heard a few requests, and so we're looking into it just to say, basically have some type of flag. It's not, can't say if or when this will happen, but I personally would like to see that, the ability to just say only show me active deployments, not old ones. I would like that, but it's not available at this time.
I think I have a PowerShell script to pull it from the database, but it's kind of messy.
All right.
Some bonus content is forthcoming. Some messy bonus content.
Messy.
Dear Shane and Lex, is it possible to create a collection based on PowerShell script output? Thanks, Faizan N.
It's as though you're looking at our roadmap that's not been published. We are considering well, not necessarily a collection. So the answer is no right now, unless that.
Feed that data into
if you feed that data
fields.
into either a custom field or into a registry that you're then scanning through a registry scanner, or creating files but not contents of files. The end. No, we are considering some type of a PowerShell, scanner, similar to the WMI scanner. At that point, then yes, and we are seriously considering that. But cool.
No,
not right now.
Kind of, not really.
Wouldn't that be fun, Colby?
It's like the feature that I want the most.
Dear Shane and Lex, can a trigger be created in Deploy based on whether an application is running? Sincerely, William Z.
Not a trigger. You can have so not a trigger. I'm wondering if you're by trigger, if you're meaning like a condition, you can have a condition that or you can have a step that runs a script that will return output whether or not an application is running, and then base a decision off of that. Mm-hmm. We've had people do that before, but it's not a trigger. No.
Dear Shane and Lex, back-to-back trigger questions. Can a trigger be created for when a user logs in for the first time on a computer? Sincerely, Thomas P.
If you're using the agent, we do capture when a user logs on, but we don't track if it's the first time a user is logged on. That's only with the agent. And once again, until the agent becomes a little bit beefier, we recommend that you only use agents on machines that are truly going to be external for a while. So, no. And trigger, once again, is a fairly specific feature. No.
Dear Shane and Lex, roughly 2/3 of my supported computers are outside of my domain. Is there an ETA for deploying custom packages to external agent? I saw that it was planned, but am curious about a timeline. Sincerely, Tyler R.
I wouldn't say that it's necessarily planned. It's just it's been acknowledged that it seems to be a way to go. Is this, there are some logistical things that we have to hit if we're going to talk about custom packages.
Yeah.
There's some big decisions that we have to make, whether that's going to require that
how's the communication going to work?
The agent communicates back to your server, which means you now have to have certain ports open on your firewall, or if there's going to be some additional hosting that would be required. There's a lot of questions around how we would do that and not lose money. So it is a discussion that we're having here quite frequently, but there's no plan for it right now.
No timeline, yeah.
Certainly no date.
And our final question of the day, is it possible to create folders and subfolders like collections for schedules? Would make things much easier, finding schedules in their categorized folder instead of scrolling through the list looking for a specific schedule. Sincerely, Callan J.
No, it's not native. We've also discussed, we're talking about a lot of feature requests today. Something we have discussed. So many of our customers do have a lot of collections or a lot of packages, and so grouping by folders makes sense. There's a lot of customers that have 3 schedules, so it's been something that's been a little lower on the priority list, I think, addressing that, just because not everybody has dozens and dozens of schedules.
So, Callan, what I do, and just I just use a naming convention, put all my 1s together, my 2s together, beginning, dash, whatever the name of it is, and at least it groups them. So
yeah, you can remember you can group with these. You can do some groupings with these with this window. Like Lex showed you in inventory, you can right click on and say I want to group by. So that's something you can look at. But if grouping won't do it for you, no, there's not a native. We don't have folders for schedules yet. So anyway, hey, thanks everybody. Thanks for checking in.
Good questions today.
Yeah, a lot of good questions. Seriously, a lot of feature requests.
They're veiled feature requests.
We'll slide those in. Some are veiled, some are not so veiled.
It's the way you phrase it.
Hey guys, you have a good one. It's snowing out. It's snowing at my house.
Snowing at your place. Wow.
Welcome to it.
Appreciate you guys watching. Rock on.
Thanks for joining us today for PDQ A. Congratulations, Matt R. and Sean S., winners of PDQ swag. Send us your info at webcast@pdq.com. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to our support folks and our forums as well. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you back here next week.